Hi, it's Sarah, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about shoes, more specifically about my Doc Martens boots which I got recently. So these are the ones that I got. They're the Doc Martens 2967 smooth Chelsea boots. I'll show you guys a closer look of them a bit later. Basically in this video I'm going to do a bit of a rundown on how I feel about them, like breaking them in, the size, the pros and cons, things like that. So I've been wanting a pair of Doc Martens boots for about 2 years now, but I could never really justify spending like $200+ on a pair of shoes. That's why I put them off until now. So this year I bought them for myself as like an early birthday present and kind of like an encouragement pre-exams to work harder type of thing. So I got them on a website called The Glue Store. If you're from Australia, it's like, you probably have heard of it, but if you're not, it's kind of like an Urban Outfitters of Australia. It just has a whole bunch of different brands in the one store, and it sells whatever's trending at the moment. So I got them on the website instead of in-store when they were having a 25% off the whole website. So I got them for under $200, which is pretty good because I don't know, from when I've been browsing and stuff, the boots are always every single style is always at least $200, so I'm happy about that. But yeah, so I'll get into the more specifics of the boot and how I feel about them now. I've just got some stuff that I've written down here so that I remember what I want to say and that I say everything. So I think first I'll talk about sizing. So normally I'm a size 7 in women's or a size 6 in men's, or it's like 24 centimeters or a European size 38. So in these boots I ended up getting a size 38 because I tried on a pair in store which were a size 38 and it was fine. And yeah, so I just went with that. But in most videos and reviews that I read and watched, everyone kind of recommended to size down, especially because it's a leather shoe, I guess. But it was fine for me. There is a little bit of room when I wear like ankle socks, but if I wear like normal thickness socks, it's fine. I don't really notice that much of a difference. Keep in mind that I haven't tried the size 37, so I don't really know the difference, but I think the size 38 is fine for me. But if you have like smaller, like more narrow feet, I have quite wide feet, then maybe you would benefit from sizing down, but for me it's not that noticeable. In terms of breaking them in and how long it took me and was it painful and all that, it took me around 5 or 6 wears before it was more flexible and it was fully comfortable to wear. Otherwise, because it's a Chelsea boot, it's quite straight up, there's no laces, it's quite stiff, so when you wear it for the first couple of times it's a bit awkward when you're walking, but after around 5 or 6 wears, so if you wear it consistently I guess for a week, you'll be able to soften the leather up and make it more comfortable I guess to wear. And the soles are actually quite bouncy. It says bouncing sole, obviously that's kind of like their tagline or whatever. I didn't really take it seriously, but actually the soles are a bit squishy and bouncy like when you walk, so it's quite comfortable to wear. And because it is quite a like big boot, it's quite weather resistant as well. It like when I've worn them in the rain and all that stuff, and it's been fine. And it's winter time now in Australia, so it's keeping my feet warm, which is good as well. So another thing to keep in mind when you're first wearing the boot is that at the back of the boot here, because it is quite high, it can rub up on the back of your calf, like the bottom of your calf, and leave a little bit of a mark, but that's easily avoided if you wear like longer socks or if you just put a band-aid there or something. Nothing too major. A lot of people did talk about like blistering and sores and how it made your feet really painful, but for me I didn't experience anything like that. It was completely fine. The only thing was that the top of this boot here was a bit stiff like I said before, but other than that I didn't really have any issues with pain. Just a little bit of awkward chafing here, but after a couple wears it doesn't really happen anymore, and you can just avoid that by wearing longer socks I guess, so it's not too bad. So in terms of styling and how I wear the boots and stuff like that, when I first started looking at Doc Martens boots, I always knew that I wanted a Chelsea boot because I just think they're easier to wear and they look a bit better on me compared to the lace-up boots. I do have a pair of the Doc Martens lace-up boots. I'll show you them a bit later, but I find that the Chelsea one's just a bit easier to pull on and to wear with kind of everything. There is another style of Chelsea boot, or like that type of look from Doc Martens. It's called the Flora boot, and that's a more sleek, clean look. This one is a more chunky type of boot, so if you're not into that, then maybe go for the Flora. When I first got these, because the tip is like quite rounded here and it is quite a big sole and it's really chunky, I was kind of intimidated. When I tried them on in store though, I kind of felt like it was fine, but once I got them in real life and I had them in my hands, I was like, oh, I don't really know how I'm gonna do this. It kind of looks like a workwear boot, but after I wore them for a couple times, I actually really like the look of it. There is the exact same boot, but they have the signature yellow stitching around it as well. I was gonna go for that one, but then I didn't want it to look too harsh and too like masculine or like a work boot. I wanted it to look more like sleek, like I'm wearing like clean, nice black boots, so I opted for the full black ones. So, but if you like that signature yellow lacing there, or stitching I should say, then there is that option as well. So when I first got the boot, they were actually a matte finish, not like shined or anything, and I wore them like that for a good like month, I'd say, and then I kind of felt like something was missing. Like from the reviews and stuff that I watched, people always had like nice shiny boots, like it always looked really shined and polished. So I actually ended up buying some polish. I didn't get the Doc Martens brand polish. I feel like that's not really necessary. I mean, if you want to splurge on it and spend like 20 bucks on shoe polish, I guess go for it, but I don't think you really need to. I just got some regular shoe polish and I shined them up. I think it looks way better in the polished version compared to like the matte finish, so that's something to keep in mind. But if you like the matte look, go for it. Now that I've talked a bit about my experience with it and how I found it, I'm going to do a bit more of a close-up shot for you guys so you can have a clearer look of what the boot looks like. So let's go. So this is what the boot looks like up close. You've got your elastic here, which makes it easy for your foot to pull through into the hole here and actually put the shoe on. So this is the back of the boot with your signature airwear bouncing sole tag, and the other side of the shoe, and of course the bottom is the thick rubber sole that all the Doc Martens shoes have. And then the front of the shoe, which is more of a rounded toe like I said before. And yeah, that's pretty much what the shoe looks like up close. I'll go on to the try on portion for you now. That I mentioned that I have another pair of Doc Martens other than the Chelsea boots, and that's these red ones. So I have the red classic lace up Doc Martens as well. I got these actually on super clearance because it was the last pair available, so they were really cheap. But the only downside is they are a size 39, so they're one size too big for me. And what I've done is I've put in like insoles inside to take up some room, and I always wear thick socks with them to kind of compensate. I just liked them too much to leave them behind in the store, so I got them. I don't get to wear them as much as I wear the black Chelsea boots, obviously, because they're a bit big, so the fit is not as right. So I probably wouldn't suggest getting the wrong size in these boots, but I really wanted them, so that's why I have them now. So the actual upside of these ones is that I think these ones are a little bit easier to break in because they have laces up the front, so you can adjust the tightness, whereas the Chelsea boot is just straight up and down. You can't change how tight it is up the top. So these ones are actually a little bit easier. So if you're tossing up between getting the Chelsea boot and these Lace-up boots, I'd say maybe go for this one if you're scared and you're thinking about if it's going to be really hard to break in. But otherwise, they're both really nice shoes. So depends on what style or what look you're kind of going for. Maybe in a couple years I'll invest in a black pair of these, because now that I have the red ones I really like the look of them. But yeah, that's about all that I have for today's video. I hope you found it a bit helpful and some of the things I said. So I'll see you in the next one. Bye.